It started in the streets, on corners, in basements, on borrowed mics with broken beats. A voice for the unheard, a rhythm for the restless. It's global, louder than ever, streaming across continents, chart-topping, genre-bending, culture-defining. These are the new voices, the digital poets of a generation raised on hustle, hashtags, and heartbreak. They're not waiting for a seat at the table. They're building their own. This is more than music. This is a movement. This is hip-hop.
Who are you?
I'm Travis Scott.
Few artists in modern hip-hop have reshaped the sound, style, and spectacle of the genre like Travis Scott. Emerging from Houston's underground in the early 2000s and 10s, Scott quickly evolved into one of the most influential figures of his generation, not just as a rapper or producer, but as a cultural architect. His music fuses trap beats with psychedelic soundscapes, auto-tuned melodies, and cinematic ambition, crafting immersive experiences that push far beyond traditional rap boundaries. This is Travis Scott. Born Jacques Bermond Webster II on April 30th, 1991 in Houston, Texas, Travis Scott grew up in two contrasting worlds. From ages 1 to 6, he lived with his grandmother in the impoverished South Park neighborhood of Houston, an experience he credits for shaping his resilience and hunger to escape that environment. At 6, he moved with his parents to Missouri City, a more affluent suburb, where he began taking piano and drum lessons under his father's guidance, a soul musician who laid the musical foundation for young Jacques. While in high school at Elkins, he immersed himself in production software like Logic, inspired by artists such as Kanye West and Kid Cudi. By age 16, Scott had pivoted from playing instruments to producing darker, more atmospheric beats, feeling the traditional sounds lacked the mood he wanted. After graduating, he briefly enrolled at the University of Texas in San Antonio, but dropped out in his sophomore year to chase his dreams. Armed with his savings, he moved to New York City, where initial efforts yielded no breakthroughs. Undeterred, he shifted to Los Angeles, sleeping on friends' couches at USC while releasing music independently. His persistence paid off when he tracked down Kanye West's engineer Anthony Kilhofer and shared his music. Kilhofer introduced him to Kanye, leading to production roles on Yeezus and Jay-Z's Magna Carta Holy Grail. In 2012, Scott signed deals with Epic Records, Kanye's Good Music, and T.I.'s Grand Hustle. He released his debut mixtape Owl Pharaoh in 2013 and followed up with Days Before Rodeo. The mixtape was critically acclaimed, released on August 18, 2014, as a free prelude to his debut studio album, Rodeo. The project played a key role in shaping his unique sound and solidifying his place in hip-hop before he became a global superstar. Days Before Rodeo isn't just a mixtape, it's a cinematic, mood-driven experience. It blends dark, atmospheric production, influenced by Kanye West and Kid Cudi, psychedelic trap beats, auto-tuned vocals, distorted instrumentation, and a heavy focus on vibe and energy over traditional structure. Travis leans into themes of rebellion, hedonism, rage, and self-destruction, setting the tone for the chaos of Rodeo. This project marks the true arrival of Travis Scott's artistic identity. Before this, he was still emerging under Kanye's GOOD music umbrella. But Days Before Rodeo was where he took full creative control, established the La Flamme persona, and introduced the aesthetic and sound that would define his career. While it was technically a mixtape, Days Before Rodeo feels like an album and is often considered one of the best pre-album releases in modern rap. It laid the groundwork for the Rodeo Birds Astroworld trilogy and built the cult fan base that would follow Travis into superstardom. Travis Scott's 2015 debut studio album, Rodeo, stands as a pivotal moment in hip-hop's evolution, melding trap roots with bold experimentation and catapulting both his career and the genre forward. Rodeo took trap, already defined by heavy 808s and hi-hats, and injected it with cinematic flair, layer-rich production, and dramatic beat changes. Tracks like 90210 and 3500 became early classics of this style, blending hypnotic atmospheres and sharp switches that set a new bar for the genre. Critics and fans agree. It was the first progressive trap album, shifting the sound from loop-based tracks into immersive theatrical experiences. Featuring heavyweights like The Weeknd, Future, 2 Chainz, Young Thug, and Kanye West, Rodeo blurred genre lines and pulled trap into more mainstream circles. The single, Antidote, peaked at number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100, propelling Travis onto the cultural radar. The album debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and has since gone double platinum, a testament to its commercial and artistic impact. Industry voices credit Rodeo with unlocking trap's full creative potential, introducing melodic auto-tune, elaborate beat structures, and multi-genre fusion, influencing a generation of artists like Post Malone and Lil Uzi Vert. It wasn't just a hit record, it changed the rules. Rodeo was more than an album, it was cultural architecture. It launched Travis's high-energy live shows, fashion partnerships, and brand identity, setting him up as a 360 degrees creative force. In short, Rodeo was the catalyst that turned trap into a mainstream, experimental, and culturally powerful form, cementing Travis Scott's role as an influential architect of modern hip-hop. Birds in the Trap Sing McKnight is Travis Scott's second studio album, released on September 2, 2016. It marked a turning point in modern trap, shifting away from traditional hip-hop structures into atmospheric, mood-driven soundscapes. The album topped the Billboard 200, becoming Scott's first number 1, and went multi-platinum. On Birds in the Trap, Scott traded dense lyricism for glowing auto-tuned melodies and mood-centric beats. Tracks like The Ends and Through the Late Night demonstrate this shift, leaning into ambition, solitude, and nighttime aesthetics over narrative complexity. His strength lay in creating immersive sonic environments. The album helped define modern trap by weaving together heavy 808s, sliding snares, and synthetic flourishes, the latter described as alien sound bites on tracks like Sweet Sweet and Pick Up the Phone, showcasing the genre's potential for emotional resonance, featuring a stellar lineup including Andre 3000, Kendrick Lamar, Kid Cudi, The Weeknd, Young Thug, and Quavo. Andre's verse on The Ends and Kendrick's on Goosebumps highlight how features can elevate a vibe, positioning Scott as the director of hip-hop mood. By topping the charts, the album proved mood trap could be commercially viable. It spawned hits like Goosebumps, a Guinness-breaking single, and Pick Up the Phone, which influenced hip-hop's pop-trap fusion. Overall, Birds in the Trap Sing McKnight redefined trap music by centering mood, melodic minimalism, and visionary collaboration. Travis Scott didn't just ride the wave, he reshaped it, influencing countless artists toward ambient, emotionally textured trap that balances vibe and chart impact. Huncho Jack, Jack Huncho, the collaborative album by Travis Scott and Quavo, dropped in December 2017 and made a notable impact on the hip-hop landscape. As two of the most influential figures in trap and melodic rap at the time, their joint project was highly anticipated and served as a symbol of the genre's growing emphasis on mood, style, and sonic experimentation. The album showcased a blend of Travis Scott's psychedelic production and ad-libs with Quavo's melodic hooks and Atlanta trap flair. Tracks like Saint and Modern Slavery featured eerie beats and hypnotic flows that reflected the sound that was dominating the late 2010s. Though it didn't receive overwhelming critical acclaim, the project helped solidify the collaborative album trend in hip-hop, paving the way for projects like Future and Juice WRLD's World on Drugs and Lil Baby and Gunna's Drip Harder album. Huncho Jack also reinforced the idea that albums didn't need to be overly conceptual or lyrically dense to resonate. Instead, it thrived on energy, chemistry, and atmosphere. The project's success on streaming platforms proved the commercial viability of surprise releases and highlighted the shift towards short-form, vibe-heavy projects that prioritize replayability over traditional album structure. In short, Huncho Jack Huncho didn't redefine hip-hop, but it captured a moment. It reflected where the genre was heading, toward collaboration, melodic delivery, and production-driven soundscapes. And it left its mark as a cultural timestamp of two artists at the peak of their popularity merging forces. Astroworld, released in August 2018, marked Travis Scott's third studio album and represented both a creative peak and cultural milestone in modern hip-hop. Named after the defunct Six Flags theme park in Houston, the album invokes a surreal, carnival-like atmosphere, an immersive experience Travis described as taking an amusement park away from kids. Astroworld blended traditional trap fundamentals, heavy 808s and skittering hi-hats, with psychedelic textures, live instrumentation, and genre-defying sampling. Tracks like Sicko Mode use multi-part song structures and Biggie Uncle Luke samples. Skeletons brings rock-infused collaborations with Tame Impala and The Weeknd. Stop Trying to Be God features Stevie Wonder's harmonica. This genre fusion became a blueprint for a new wave of hip-hop. Sicko Mode was groundbreaking, the first hip-hop song to stay in the Billboard Hot 100 Top 10 for 30-plus weeks, debuting at #1 and later earning diamond status. Its multiple beat switches and layered orchestration, alongside Drake's appearance, showed audiences massive-scale innovation within mainstream trap. The album mirrored Houston heritage. R.I.P. Screw honors DJ Screw and the Chopped and Screwed legacy. Stargazing dips into Houston's nocturnal psychedelic vibe. By weaving local history into modern trap, Scott elevated regional pride while pushing hip-hop's cultural boundaries. Astroworld's vast guest roster, Kid Cudi, Frank Ocean, Pharrell, The Weeknd, Drake, Tame Impala, and many more, was not just star power but intentional curation. Travis functioned as architect, shaping each track's mood and sound in evolving hip-hop production trends. Astroworld ignited the eponymous festival in Houston, 2018 onwards, a multi-genre spectacle with carnival rides and cinematic staging. Travis also pioneered virtual concerts like 2017 popular online video game Fortnite. Over 12.3 million concurrent players tuned into the first show, smashing previous engagement records like Marshmello's 2019 concert. Across 5 showings, a total of 27.7 million unique players participated with 45.8 million in-game views. Beyond Fortnite, it amassed over 45 million views in-game, plus tens of millions more on platforms like YouTube and Twitch, and product partnerships like Nike and McDonald's, showing hip-hop now thrives through multimedia ecosystem. With Astroworld, Travis Scott didn't just release an album. He reinvigorated trap with sonic depth, experimental structure, regional homage, and brand cohesion. It set a new standard for what hip-hop could sound like and how it could be experienced through music, festivals, and immersive marketing. Its ripples are still felt today, shaping how artists fuse genres, structure tracks, and build immersive worlds around their brand.
Transcended the industry in that you were going to have this global influence. At what point in your career did it hit you that you had the opportunity to do that?
I still think it still hasn't, I wouldn't say hit me yet. I'm never in like a realization about that. I've always thought about what the music could do to like kind of like help inspire people. It wasn't until like maybe I used to perform in front of like 5 people. So like, you know, 1 out of the 5 people would tell me like, yo man, the music did something for me. And so, you know, over the time, I was just like, yo, if I can do this for one person, I can probably do this for somebody else. And I always thought that was like the main, like the most important thing. So I think it's kind of like beyond the music. I think it's more so like 360 all around thing.
Jack Boys, released December 27, 2019, is a 7-track compilation album led by Travis Scott under his Cactus Jack Records imprint, featuring label artists Don Toliver, Sheck Wes, DJ Chase B, and outside features like Rosalia, Lil Baby, Young Thug, Quavo, Offset, and Pop Smoke. It drew 154,000 equivalent units in its first week. Jack Boys served less as a traditional album and more as a strategic branding vehicle for Cactus Jack Records. Despite its brevity, only 7 songs, it presented a curated entry point into Scott's roster. Don Toliver emerged as the standout, especially on What to Do and other cuts. Pitchfork praised him as the only artist who didn't waste their time, calling him a more polished version of Scott himself. This moment shifted Toliver from background vocalist to label flagship, shaping the next generation of melodic auto-tune stylists. Tracks like Gaddy with Pop Smoke and Out West, with Young Thug brought in drill and viral TikTok energy, notably spawning the Out West Challenge, while linking Scott's brand with emerging scenes. High-profile guest features further elevated its mainstream footprint. Critics gave mixed reviews, yet fans on Reddit praised its tight, high-energy flow and unique aesthetic vibe, appreciating its mood and cohesion. Despite size limits, Jack Boys tapped into a post-Astroworld aesthetic, blending cinematic visuals and prismatic sound. Jack Boys wasn't about deep lyricism. It was a branding push, a launchpad for fresh voices, especially Toliver, and a document of Travis Scott's empire building. It successfully expanded Cactus Jack's influence, shaped the path for its artists, and underlined how hip-hop collectives can thrive through strategic curation, high-profile features, and multimedia engagement. The Astroworld Festival disaster, which occurred on November 5, 2021 in Houston, Texas, stands as one of the deadliest concert tragedies in recent history. During a performance by rapper Travis Scott, a crowd surge led to the deaths of 10 individuals and injuries to hundreds more. With over 50,000 attendees present, the event descended into chaos when people near the front of the stage were compressed against barriers, causing many to be crushed and unable to breathe. The fatalities, ranging in age from 9 to 27, were officially attributed to compression asphyxia. Despite early signs of distress in the crowd and multiple attempts by concertgoers to alert security and staff, the show continued for over 30 minutes after a mass casualty event had been declared. This delay in response highlighted critical failures in communication, crowd management, and emergency planning. The aftermath of the disaster sparked public outrage, leading to over 400 lawsuits filed against Travis Scott, Live Nation, and other event organizers. Although a grand jury later chose not to indict Scott or any festival officials on criminal charges, the tragedy prompted a nationwide reckoning in the live music industry. It brought attention to the need for better crowd control strategies, emergency medical preparedness, and accountability in high-capacity entertainment events.
Last night was tragic on many different levels, and this is a very, very active investigation, and we'll probably be at it for quite some time. 8 people are reported dead from the event last night. In terms of their ages, one is 14, one is 16, 2 are 21 years of age, 2 are 23, 1 is 27, and 1 remains unknown at this time. Based on last night, 25 were transported to the hospital. 13 are still hospitalized, including 5 that are under the age of 18.
Astroworld became a case study in the dangers of poor planning and the ethical responsibilities of performers and organizers. The event also profoundly affected Travis Scott, who later reflected on the tragedy in interviews and his album Utopia. For survivors and families of the victims, the emotional and physical scars remain deep. Ultimately, the Astroworld disaster is a somber reminder that safety must always be prioritized over spectacle. It reshaped festival protocols and continues to influence conversations around responsibility, planning, and protection at live events.
We heard like people like weren't breathing for like 20 minutes like after getting CPR. Like I knew people were like going like down like, and I saw people like literally like getting like I said like jumping out the barricade like, and they just couldn't like breathe, like it was insane. So
Travis Scott's Utopia, released in July 2023, marked a significant cultural moment in hip-hop, solidifying his role not only as an artist, but as a visionary curator of sound. The album, his first since Astroworld, blends industrial textures, psychedelic production, and global influences to present a futuristic, genre-bending body of work. With contributions from heavyweights like Beyoncé, Drake, The Weeknd, and producers including Kanye West and Mike Dean, Utopia redefines the scale of collaboration in modern rap. Commercially, the album was a powerhouse. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and became the first rap album of 2023 to hold that spot for multiple weeks, showcasing Scott's enduring influence in a shifting music industry. Its production, layered, cinematic, and at times abrasive, drew comparisons to Kanye's Yee's Us. Yet Scott's touch added a melodic accessibility that kept it grounded in his signature style. Songs like My Eyes and Del Resto, Echoes, show his range, pulling from experimental soundscapes while still hitting mainstream appeal. However, Utopia was not without criticism. Some felt Scott faded too far into the background, functioning more as a curator than a central voice. Others pointed out the album's emotional detachment, saying it lacked the vulnerability found in great rap records. Despite this, Utopia's sheer ambition and scale have influenced a broader trend in hip-hop toward conceptual, globally oriented albums that transcend traditional rap boundaries. Ultimately, Utopia stands as a testament to Travis Scott's evolving artistry. It's not just an album, it's a blueprint for a new era of hip-hop, one where vision, collaboration, and sonic experimentation take precedence over traditional rap formulas. Whether praised or critiqued, Utopia undeniably pushed the culture forward, challenging artists and audiences alike to reconsider what the future of rap could sound like. In a time when attention spans are short and trends are fleeting, Travis Scott has created a world, and millions still want to live in it. His fingerprints are all over today's hip-hop, in the music, in the marketing, and in the mindset of the next wave of artists. Despite the tragedy of the Astroworld Festival in 2021 casting a shadow over his career, Travis Scott's influence remains undeniable. He has pushed the genre forward, both sonically and culturally, while inspiring a wave of younger artists to experiment fearlessly. As hip-hop continues to evolve, Scott's contributions will be remembered not just for their innovation, but for how they redefined the role of a hip-hop artist in the 21st century.